Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Mondays with Michelle video. This is the last episode of my three-part series from July 2024 on the National Library of Scotland Maps website. Part 3 looks at various collaborative projects using the National Library of Scotland maps and tools. Let's get started. We've already looked in the last 2 weeks at this National Library of Scotland maps section. So there's just a few other features that I wanted to point out to you this week. And they're actually down at the bottom of the main screen. These 4 boxes are useful to look at. Inquiries and copies is the page I showed you last time, which provides details on copyright, on what you are allowed to use, the fact that you can freely print copies of most of the maps right from within the map viewer. So in addition to purchasing their high quality copies of images of the map, you are able to create your own screen captures or prints, and this particular page will give you all the details. There's also the recent additions, which, just as it sounds, will tell you which maps have been added recently to this website. Now, 2 other items I did want to show you. This historic maps API, I'm going to point out briefly. What this does is it allows you to add their maps, some of these georeferenced maps that you can set up as overlays. You can add those to your personal website, or if your society is doing a project and wanted to have a map showing the area that your society covers, for instance, you can actually use that same ordnance survey map with overlaid to, say, an OpenStreetMap. You can have that capability on your website. So what this page does is give the appropriate instructions on how to do that. So if you scroll down a long ways, here's the instructions and the code for how to embed the map on your website, and some information on licensing. So this is not something that the average person would probably do, but just so that you know, if you have a desire to put one of their maps on your website, there is a way to do it for these particular maps. So some of you might be interested in that. What I want to focus on for most of today's session, though, is this collaborative projects button. And I've got it open here. So what this talks about is groups that have come together to create separate websites using the National Library of Scotland map technology. So that tab I showed you a minute ago, where it gave instructions on how to add their maps to a website, that's the kind of thing that these groups will have done to create some of these projects you see listed here. And if you scroll down, it gives links and a little bit of an information blurb on these projects, or you can just click the link directly from up here. And there's a number of these projects I want to show you. The first one will be this Alexander Innes Jamaica Journal. So if we click on that link or just go to the tab that I already have open, what you're seeing is this group, the University of Aberdeen, hosted this. They were partnered with National Library of Scotland to use the map technology, and it looks like it's also the Arts and Humanities Research Council. So those three partnered together to create this project, and what they have done is they have used this historic map on the right to link with these blue dots to entries in Alexander Innes's journal for the time when he was in Jamaica. So you can scroll through the journal and you notice as I click on a journal entry, it's going to highlight particular spots on the map. If I click on one of the map spots, it'll tell me the dates that Alexander visited that place, Belmont. And if I click on an entry, you notice it scrolls to that spot on the journal. You can also use the slider at the bottom of the screen. It says slide to view the journal and places visited on particular days. So right now, the date is showing as Wednesday, January 7th, 1824. Well, as I move the slider, you notice the date at the bottom of this map window is changing. Right now, it's Thursday, January 29th. And as I slide it, you will see that all the entries are changing. So that's kind of an interesting application. So that's one of the projects. Another project is this Frederick Douglas in Edinburgh and Scotland. And I have that one open. So a similar look. This is a project with the University of Edinburgh, the National Library of Scotland, and the Arts and Humanities. So with this particular one, again, there's different locations. And if you click on them, it links in to the text. Apparently I scrolled accidentally way too far, but it actually zooms in and shows you where this particular chapel is, where the church is. And this is a historical map. So that would be the West End Chapel, probably, that they're talking about here. Now, that's the Frederick Douglas project. There's another project about Thomas Pennant and his travels across Scotland. So there's this website called Curious Travelers. And there's a number of different menu options you can look at to find out what this particular project was all about. One of the things that this project produced was maps. And if you go to the map, it's a side-by-side depiction of the different tours he made of Scotland. So you can see on the left, we've got color coding for the different tours, and it lists the years. So if you only wanted to see where he went in 1772, you could turn off the other colors. So it only showed the 1772. And clicking on one of the dots will give you the details of the date he arrived and left, and anything else about where that location is. And again, you can click in, zoom in to see the details. So that's kind of an interesting project. Another one that I thought was quite interesting, this Stornoway historic maps. So these are basically estate maps for the area of Stornoway. And if we take a look at that website, you've got this map on the left, and you've got this description on the left with various maps that you can select. And you've got the appropriate map showing up on the right. So as I scroll down, or if I select this 1846, that's the map that would appear. And you can zoom in, look at the details, etc. And you'll notice for this map, what's interesting is it's showing people's names. So you're actually seeing who was occupying or owning these particular premises. So that one would be an interesting resource if you had ancestors who lived in that area. And this is the Stornoway Harbor Bay and Town map. And again, I've used an OpenStreetMap as the background, and this one does have that transparency. So I can fade that map out to look at a modern map and then reapply the slider to show the historical map to get an idea. For instance, Miss William Crichton, get an idea how much property that covered compared to a modern map. So I found that was quite interesting. Now, one of the last projects sites I want to show you was, let me go back up to the top for the list of projects, this one on Scottish water mills. So if you click that, you'll come to a website about the water mills. And I pulled up the particular map, and what this is showing, the default is all mills. And it has basically an alphabetical list by the name of the mill on the left, and then it shows where that mill is located and the town or county. And if you scroll down, you'll see it lists all of these different mills. But you can also choose to filter by mill type. So for example, if I wanted to look just at woolen mills, I can do that. Or if I want to look at, which one, cotton mills. I can do that and see where those particular mills are. So there's a lot of them around Glasgow, for example. You can see by the red dots. And clicking on the red circles will allow you to view the details. in its own sweet time. There. So I clicked on that particular dot. It's now turned orange, and it's giving the details for that particular mill on the right here. You can also choose to filter by date ranges. So right now it's giving all mills pre-1800 to 1900. But if I reduce this, now it's going to give me just the mills from pre-1800 to 1840s. So you can adjust the time frame. Maybe I want to do the mills that were around from the 1840s to the 1880s. So this can be really helpful if your ancestors worked in the mills, just to see what mills were around for that period of time, since you've got the names and you can search for a particular mill. So if I want to look at this particular mill, it's going to zoom in and show me where that mill is, which is kind of handy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.